Hello friends, this past weekend we celebrated Father's Day. So to all of the dads, stepdads, role models, godfathers, all of the men who are positive influence in all of the lives of the children out there, as well as the moms who do both jobs. So in line with the theme, I thought that today we would talk about 10 things that I learned about being a father that has served me well in my practice as a managing partner at a divorce law firm. Welcome back to the Divorce Broadcast. My name is Manny Segarra, coming to you from Miami, Florida. So, my son was born when I was 24 years old. So yeah, I was a very young dad. At that time, I was still in law school. I wasn't 100% quite sure how to take care of myself. And here you go. I had a baby boy that I had to help raise. When he was born, I was overwhelmed by so many different emotions, including love and joy and happiness. And obviously, I was pretty terrified too because I didn't want to mess it up. So from about the age of 2 moving forward, I was a single dad. And I want to talk about some of the life lessons that I learned as a single dad that have served me well in my practice of divorce law. The first lesson that I would say that I've learned as a single dad was how to listen. And when I say how to listen, I don't mean just hearing what people have to say. From the time that my son started to talk until about last week, he's now 23 years old. He decided he wanted to take a shot at being an actor and moved across the country to pursue that goal. We have always had to speak to each other, and I've had to listen intently as to what it is that his issues are, or what are some of the challenges that he's facing. When you have an artsy kid, you know that you have someone that is very sensitive, so you have to truly listen. That is a huge skill to have when I'm dealing with the issues that I come up with at work, especially in this particular field. Clients who are divorcing clients, they have a lot of emotional, sometimes turmoil, so it is important to them, just as it is important to us as a practice, to be able to actually listen to them without interruption, with true empathy. In addition to that, when you have employees, you know that sometimes things with the employees, they can get challenging as well, and each employee is a different person, and each one has their own particular idiosyncrasies, and you have to listen to them as well. Same thing goes with opposing counsels. There's nothing more annoying than when you have an opposing counsel who simply likes to sit there and hear themselves speak. They may think that they are the smartest, greatest person in the world, but as soon as they're done talking, I can promise you that everyone is probably rolling their eyes or making comments about how arrogant they are. It is important when you're dealing with opposing counsel to be respectful and to actually listen to their point of view. Another important part of listening is during mediation. A lot of times during mediation, cases may not settle, but it is an amazing opportunity for you and your client to find out what the other side's strategy or arguments are for the case. And having to listen without constantly interrupting somebody and trying to get your point across shows that you have a certain level of higher emotional intelligence. And that is something that fits both parenting and the workforce. The second lesson that I've learned is adaptability. Being a single dad often requires adapting to new routines and responsibilities on an almost constant basis. When my son was little, we had to do play dates, summer camp, video games. As he got a little bit older and was a teenager, we embarked upon those challenges as well, like the car issue and the cell phone and how much online access to have, and getting involved in the school when he was a teenager, including I was the president of the Boosters Club for his musical theater program. There was a dance crew that they performed at different venues. When we started having to have conversations about race and the LGBTQ community and how that affected his life, that's something that we had to adapt with. The same thing could be described for my job. Learning to be flexible and open-minded is crucial in handling the challenges that come up as a divorce attorney. You know, the business needs and the format of divorce law is always changing. The customer's needs, they fluctuate. So we embrace flexibility and we embrace being open to change here at this firm. Each employee brings something different to the table, which is wonderful. I think that this younger generation has such a knack for technology and how to run those systems, that it is imperative for those of us that are in the business world to embrace that as well. They're also more in tune with their emotions. The same thing can be said for clients. As I mentioned before, given the nature of what we do, we have to adapt either of the pace of the proceedings or what's due or the deadlines and things of that nature. Remember that we come into our clients' lives at such a difficult time, the time where their families are in the process of either breaking up or being restructured. Number 3, time management. Effective time management is crucial both in parenting and in running a business such as this law firm. When my son was smaller, we did soccer, football, karate. And as he got a little bit older, it was musical theater. So we had to do dance classes, we had singing lessons, piano lessons, acting classes. Throw in there that I started my practice around the same time that he was going into middle school, and I have a couple pets. I have a couple dogs, cat, and time management is essential. Same thing happens for work. Prioritizing the tasks, setting clear goals, delegating responsibilities can optimize productivity and can put everybody in a better position, because everybody knows where they're supposed to be and what they're supposed to be doing. It's a lot of work managing your team. Our team here at Segarra & Associates, we all need to make sure that we are collaborating on a lot of the different things that go on here. And that's how you get people to buy into the culture of your particular law firm or business practice. The 4th lesson that translates so great from being a parent to the workforce is self-care, the need for self-care. I always tell people you need to be good to you first before you can be good to anyone else. Remember to prioritize self-care, whether it's through exercise, a proper diet, hobbies, or simply taking time to meditate or relax. It is so important. You have to find your zen, whatever that is. For me, it's probably working out. I work out at least 3 times a week, and when I go to the gym, I get rid of all that stress. I'm also an avid gardener. That's something I picked up from my mom and my big sister. They were always in the garden. There's something cathartic about digging up the ground, sticking the plants in there, and watching them flourish. And I'll tell you, I have the occasional cocktail when the need arises. So, I'm not advocating everyone drink. But sometimes when you got a teenager, you got to take that edge down a little bit. When it comes to work, I always preach it to my employees as too. Self-care is just as important. For all of us entrepreneurs, it is critical to pass that culture on to all of our employees. I am always checking in with my employees, asking them about their workout regimen or whatever is their zen. And I always am a big preacher of the work-life balance. The 5th lesson I learned as a single dad has a lot to do with my upbringing in Generation X. Specifically, we were always taught a lot of independence at our age or when we were growing up, and we were always taught to clean up the little messes. In other words, the little messes in life, they add up. The unfortunate part is that when you have little kids, they were little problems. So, picking up your toys was about as big as it was going to get. As the saying goes, little kids, little problems. Big kids, big problems. At work, you gotta nip the little issues in the bud. When you have employees that either don't get along, or the team is bickering, or there's some resentment somewhere, you gotta talk it out. Your emails, if your emails are backed up, you gotta get to them because they build up as well. Clients calling with issues, you gotta return the calls because they want to hear from you, especially when they're going through a divorce case or something like that. In terms of the tasks, it's important to make sure that no matter what they are, that they get done and that there's a system to follow up when these tasks are assigned and are finished. The 6th lesson that I learned was how to communicate better. Being a single dad taught me wonderful communication skills. I always made it a point to encourage my son to have open communication with me, and I tried to always create an environment where he felt comfortable expressing his feelings and concerns to me, whatever they were, without fear of retribution or some sort of judgment or condescending reaction. Being able to communicate in a thoughtful and respectful way creates a strong bond between you and your child. On the business side, in the law firm, having open communication with your team, it fosters a better collaboration, better employee engagement, and a healthy relationship between your team. It encourages feedback and creating an environment where ideas can be expressed freely. I cannot tell you how many wonderful ideas have have come to our staff through just having this open communication. We have daily staff meetings that address any issues that may have, and we have chats, and we have WhatsApp, and we have phone calls. So we are a very close group. The seventh lesson that I learned as a father that has helped me in my business is looking at the bigger picture. It's funny how when we have kids and they go through the years, we always plan ahead, or whenever they run into issues, we're able to give them advice because we have had life experience. And it's because what we've gone through in life that we're able to look at it from a little bit different angle. The same thing happens at work. You have to look at it a little bit further back because each team member comes at the challenge or the issue at a different angle or from a different perspective. One of the most insightful lessons I learned from being a father was something I learned from my son, and that's never apologize who you are. I remember when I was growing up, it was a different time. My family immigrated here from Puerto Rico. I was the first one born in this country, so I had to figure out how to integrate culturally into Chicago, which is completely different than what my family was used to when they were in Puerto Rico. As I did that, I saw that growing up, there was a lot of challenges of being accepted for who I was. My son, completely different. He couldn't care less who likes or proves or disagrees with the way that he is, and he is unapologetic of who he truly is. So that is something that over the years I've come to learn and admire off of him, and it's something that I always tell a lot of my team members is that, you know, when it comes to stylistic stuff or who they are or how they present cases or how they argue or how they think or how they write, never change that because that's who they are. I never criticize people who they are, and I'm always accepting of the different points of view because as you get different points of view and as you allow people to be unapologetically them, they prosper and they thrive, and then you get to see them as their real selves and as their best real selves. So I think that's a great lesson that I learned as being a father. Number 9, own your mistakes. I say it all the time, nobody is perfect. As a parent, it is perfectly fine to make mistakes. Thank goodness children are resilient and they're very loving too. I think that when you do make a mistake with your children, it is important that you own it. You always apologize, and then you always talk about what are the life lessons that you have learned from this mistake. And then when they make mistakes, it's the same thing. The same thing goes at work. Just because I am the managing partner or the boss at work, I make plenty of mistakes. But by virtue of always owning those mistakes, whenever I make a mistake or whenever I try to correct an employee or team member who made a mistake and it actually is my mistake, I am one of the quickest to apologize. That is important because then you are reflecting to them that they should be the same way. They need to own up to it, which is an important skill also in court. Because when you're in court and you mess up, you can't go blaming other people. You need to own up to it because that's what judges respect. And last but not least is patience and resilience. With my son, it was the middle school years, which were challenging. And then we got to the high school years that were really challenging. And then there were some challenges in college as well. There were some roommate issues. You know how it goes. There's always something. So being a parent is challenging, especially when you're doing it alone. So it's good to have a good support system. But as you go through these trials and challenges as a parent, it will cultivate patience and resilience. The same exact thing happens at work. Those qualities valuable in business and extremely necessary because, sometimes these people, they like to test your patience, but I'm not going to go there. Maintaining a positive attitude, persevering through the difficulties, the challenges, and learning from our failures as well as our victories is so important. Our team here at Segarra & Associates, we ride or die together. We are very tight. Whenever we have trials or hearings, we all meet with each other and we all collaborate and we all support each other. You can't win every case, but in the preparing for it and in the filing the exhibits and preparing the arguments and doing the case law research and prepping the client, we have formed such a strong bond here. That is our secret sauce as to what makes us great at this law firm. All right, so that is a wrap on the 10 lessons that I learned as a single dad with my son that have translated pretty well into my professional practice as a divorce attorney. We want to give a heartfelt thank you to to all the dads out there celebrating Father's Day. We hope that you enjoyed your Father's Day weekend. If you know anyone that would benefit from these lessons, have them look us up at www.segarralawfirm.com. We have offices in Miami and Orlando, Florida. South Lafayette Yard. Please do us a favor and hit the like button, and do us a favor and subscribe to the Divorce Broadcast. Once again, happy Father's Day.